All right. Good afternoon, Panther fans. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. This is going to be fun. So, I was recording a quick Patreon YouTube member video. Wanted to give everybody thanks for all of that support. And I started talking about the Paul Maurice introductory press conference. And I keep saying that, in that press conference, he said he didn't want to change too much. And I was trying to make sure I was correct. I was jogging my own memory. And I said, you know what? I'm looking for a video to do this afternoon. I got a few hours before the football stream. I said, why don't I play the entire introductory press conference with Zito and Maurice? I'm going to play the whole thing and interact and react during the press conference because I want to see, is my memory accurate, right? Am I remembering things as he was really saying it? I want to hear what Zito was saying because he gives some of the reasons behind the move. So I really want to listen to this thing now with the perspective of what we've seen so far this season. So this is going to be fun. Now it's like 27 minutes long, so we're going to be here a couple of minutes. Grab yourself a drink. Okay, going to share this. That sucker's full screen. And all right, let's do this.
It's been almost a month since we were last downstairs, and in that time, as I said before, we took a deep dive into our season. We did a review and as to where we were and the state of our organization and our team and where we were headed. As part of that, we took a little break. It was a little raw. I don't know how many of you were here that day, but it was a little bit of an awkward press conference for me. I remember I was sort of in a daze, but we took a little time, and then we started with an internal process. And at one point, we decided it was incumbent upon us and prudent to turn to the outside and talk to a few people. And when we spoke to Paul Maurice, it was overwhelming. That this was the man to be the real fit. It was a fit to take us into the challenges that are ahead of us moving forward as we move forward to ultimately to what our goal is. So without further ado, I introduce Paul Maurice.
Thank you.
So before we get into Paul, that's where Zito's talking about the challenges that we see coming forward. Okay, I mean, we all know the salary cap hell and that whole deal. I don't think he could have foreseen obviously the injury and illnesses and all of that and Duke getting hurt. But let's see what Paul has to say.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. First, a heartfelt thank you to Mr. Viola, his family, and certainly Bill and his wonderful family for this opportunity, and not just the opportunity, but making me and my family feel so very welcome here in Florida. Over the last couple of days, you start to process some of these. I've been in the league a long time, but I've been very, very fortunate. I've really spent the vast majority of my time with two teams. And Bill just used the word fit, which is so appropriate for that time span. Mr. Peter Kermanis Jr. in Carolina, along with Jim Rutherford, 13 years there, and Mr. Mark Chipman and his wonderful family, David Thompson and Kevin Cheveldayoff, that whole management group. And it was always the right fit, and that's the sense that you're looking for as a head coach. So Bill and I hadn't met before prior. Certainly we have, I wouldn't know, players.
I don't understand where the fit was, though. I don't understand because at this point, nobody's hurt. We haven't made any personnel changes. So at this point, what I don't understand is for both of them to say there's this fit, considering the style of play that Maurice has and the players that we had in that moment. I don't understand the fit part.
And people in the organization that I know very, very well. And it's, I don't know, maybe the first 15, 20 minutes, you feel it. You feel that fit here. And so it's been a great experience for me. The interview process was wonderful. I don't know how much time you spent with Bill, but he can jack you up about hockey in about 15 minutes, right? So I'm in a lather an hour into the meeting and ready to go. And that's what drives me, and that's what I love, right? You want to be really smart, passionate people that want to put on not just a great game, but a great program for their community. It's not just about winning hockey games. It's about building a destination franchise for the fans, not just the players that we can draw here, not just all the things that they can offer, but for the fans as well. And that passion comes out very, very quickly. So it was once it started for me, it was over.
It's interesting that he says that, considering this brand of hockey is death to what South Florida wants, which South Florida wants an exciting team. They want to watch something fun and exciting, and this ain't it. And all right.
Over. I was ready. I was all in. And then, of course, to be given this opportunity, it's humbling. We've got a lot of really strong pieces here. They've done some tremendous work here to get to where they are. And I'm honored and humbled to be a part of it.
At this time, we'll open it up for questions. We'll start with Steve Goldstein.
Paul, Bill mentioned the fit from his standpoint. Why is it a fit from your standpoint, mainly on the ice, when you look at this team now and what you've seen from this team the last couple of years?
Good question, Goldie.
So I think when you look historically at teams maybe where Florida is, there's a number of very powerful teams in this league, and Florida now is one of them. But even if you want to go back to Detroit in the mid-'90s, right? And that's also true of Pittsburgh and what Tampa Bay went through. Amassing the talent comes first. It's a very difficult thing to do. It needs to be developed and gotten to a certain level. And then there is a next phase, and it's not necessarily measured by regular season points or goals for. It's that transition into all of the hard things, the investment, and it's not just the players. The players here are good and they work hard, but it's the investment of the entire group to drive yourself hard enough that when adversity comes, you're ready for it. You've earned the right to survive in that adversity. And I'm excited about that challenge, right? So I watched this team play quite a bit, really strongly in the playoffs last year, and watch the progression year to year. You have to be.
I assume by when he say play really strongly in the playoffs last year, he means last year, the 6 games against Tampa, right? Because we didn't have a strong playoff run last year. We eked out a victory and then didn't win another game.
Be excited. As a coach, you see that and you want to be part of that next level. But they're in that group now, and I think, and it's also possibly the most difficult step to take, right? It is hard to get to that point that you believe you've earned the right to survive your adversity, and you fight through that. And that's a daily investment from the coaches, the players, management, all in every single day. And it's sometimes not easily measured, not necessarily easily measured in points. A guy like you who's been around the game an awful long time, you should be able to feel it. Certainly we would want our fans to feel it, an intensity in the game.
Okay, so a couple things. He had mentioned passion, intensity, both the things which we're not seeing from this team. But the part where he's talking about changing the style after you've gotten to a certain point, and then you have to earn this you have to feel like you've earned the right to survive your adversity. Now, we saw some of that in training camp when he just kind of, got the guys dog tired the first few days. But we just saw him come out with there was an interview with, I think, George Richards, and it was talking about how this is what I came here for, to get to this adversity and to watch them overcome it. So, I mean, from his point of view, I guarantee you, if I could sit down with him for 2 minutes and pick his brain, I guarantee you, from his point of view right now, things are right. Things are right. Things are right about where he thought, maybe a couple points here, a couple points here. But now you could use it as, you could say it's a good quality, or bad quality. I don't know. But from what I'm hearing here and what I'm hearing him say now, he ain't panicking. He's certainly not going to panic in terms, he's not going to do like a Tortorella type of thing or a Gallant where he's just going to, let everybody know how unhappy he is. This is his process. I think right now, this place that the Panthers are in, Maurice feels like this is his process.
But it's a challenge too, and an exciting challenge. But that fit is such a hard word to describe. But when you walk in, and like I said, you're ready to coach a game 5 minutes after talking to Bill, you want to be a part of that.
Hi, Coach. Tim Reynolds with the Associated Press. Welcome, first off. It's been about 6 months since you left Winnipeg, and I'm just sort of curious what that process has been like for you. When did you realize that you needed to come back or you wanted to come back? I guess, were you even certain that you wanted to take on a new challenge? What role did Bill and Mr. Viola play in assuring you that this was the right move? I guess can you take us through your process the last 6 months?
So one of the things, a little bit of time and some experience in the league allows you to do is assess what your needs are as a father and a family man and also a coach. What do I need in the next process? Because I'm looking to get to the next level too, right? I'm looking for that final push too. So you need some things on the outside to be a part of a process that you want to be a part of. And I took some time and it was needed. I'd kind of run as hard and as long as I could I'd pushed that team to the point that it needed a new voice. I understood that. I've been in the game a while. I could feel it. It was a great experience there. I think they built a beautiful team there, and the next voice will take them to the next place. So I'll just tell you the truth of how this happened. I'm watching a game at probably mid-January, and I'm flipping, right? I'm not being good about it. I'm not studying the game. I'm just doing what we all do, flipping for some action. Florida's on. I'm watching them play, and I said to my wife, "That's a good team. That's an exciting team." And she says, "Does that interest you?" And I said, "Yeah, that team interests me."
Yeah, well, it was a good team. It was an exciting team. You see, so this is the stuff when he was talking about it in the initial press conference. He's talking about, yeah, I want to be a part of that because they're exciting. I'm gonna have a Tom Hanks moment here in a second. We were exciting, exactly. Passion, excitement, past tense.
And left it, okay? So next small piece comes down the road. My youngest is deciding where he wants to go to school in the fall. He gets accepted at the University of Miami. So I don't say a word, not one word to him, because I'm not, why would I say? I mean, God, you got some other great schools further north. I mean, we're in about 5 feet of snow at that point in time. And I'm thinking, hey, this could be good. You go to Miami, got to bring mom down to see you. This is going to work out well. So that happened. But even with that, I don't know about the fit, which would be primary for me in my profession. Probably 10 days ago, I have a phone call with Bill, and that's where the process started. And then I get off the phone and I'm ready. I can't explain it to you any better than that. You walk into a room, you talk to a bunch of men, they tell you their plans, and they've got them, right? They're working on things. They have a plan if this happens, a plan if this happens, and they're ready to work. And you're going, oh man, I want to be a part of this. So that switch got flipped real fast. And it wasn't from, I'm not coaching anymore. It was, I'm only going to a place that I think I can make a difference and I can be a part of something, a community, a team, a franchise, because I want that passion in my life too.
I wonder, he's talking about the plan. They laid out this plan for him, Viola and Zito. And I just wonder how much of that plan shifted with the Tkachuk-Huberdeau trade. Not judging the trade, but obviously when he's hiring when he's hiring Maurice, Huberdeau, Uyghur, financial decisions needed to be made. Zito wasn't sitting there going, well, we might get rid of Huberdeau and Uyghur. I mean, that was not part of the deal here, right? So, yeah, let's continue.
I want that juice, right? That's what fires you up, gets you to the rink on time, and he's excels at that. So whatever it is, he pushes my buttons. He figured me out real fast.
Hey, Paul. John Evanson from CBS 12. You just described what, all Panthers fans experienced all season long, watching those regular season games, the excitement, the goals. What in your mind will it take to take this team to the next level where they have playoff success and can, ultimately hoist the cup?
Here we go.
Additions in their game, not necessarily a change in their game. Like, there's an awful lot of good here. You score an awful lot of goals.
Son of a bitch. Did you hear that? I'm gonna have an apoplectic fit and a stroke and an embolism all at the same time. I'm gonna rewind that.
Excitement, the goals. What in your mind will it take to take this team to the next level where they have playoff success and can, ultimately hoist the cup?
Additions in their game, not necessarily a change in their game. Like, there's an awful lot of good here. You score an awful lot of goals.
We did. We used to.
And 122 points is not easy to do in this league. We would look at the 60-minute game maybe more closely than the 65-minute game or the shootout game in terms of where our team is at.
Okay.
They're producing wins and a style of game there. So I want to make sure additions, right? I love some of the offensive things that they do. There's no curtailing completely on that. Creative players have to have room to be creative.
Does this sound like anything that any of you are watching on the ice? Am I insane? Am I absurd? Insane? Am I nuts? I'm all right. I'm Cocoa Puffs. But does this, what he is saying, does this sound like anything that any of you are seeing on the ice? Honest question. I don't think I'm going to live through this video. We still got 17 more minutes.
But the entire other piece to this game, when you don't have the puck, and the attitude in that game, and it's not the team worked hard. Like, I'm not sitting here, this is not a lazy team. These guys work and they compete. But the focus of five moving together distinctly and very, very quickly, repeatedly. Right? Things that we can replicate. You can't always hit that seam pass through 9 people over a stick. Now, they've done it because we've seen them do it, and it's pretty darn cool when it happens. But that can't be your game plan in the playoffs. The playoff game changes completely. It's a different style. The rush game disappears. The net front becomes where all the battles are. So we have to add that to our game so that when we get to that, we have experience with it. And then the last is just that investment. So I'm talking about something that has to happen every day.
Add it to the game, Maurice. He has it right when he's what the words he's using now. Yes, you don't curtail the creativity. You add to the game. He's saying the right things.
Right, that drive has to happen every day, and you take a small slice of it every single day till you get to the point that you have enough in your bank and your memory bank that it becomes automatic.
Paul, Mike DePasquale, the Fox affiliate Miami. Right here, Paul, right here. In your discussions with Vinny, did he make it clear to you, because he has spent the money to bring players in here, clear to you that this window is open right now, and there was disappointment that this organization, this franchise was knocked out in the second round 4 straight, that they don't expect that. They expect a cup run, as was talked about all season, based on the points this team had, the goals they scored, and what this team did.
So my conversations with Mr. Viola were not specific to the hockey. It was about the general direction of the team and where he wanted to go, and you're right. So we know by actions. The money's been spent, the investment's been made. He's all in on this and wants to win. The cup run is an interesting concept, right? So there's going to be 16 really good teams, and it was a cup run. It just ran way too short for everybody's liking. And certainly, that is the aspiration and where we want to get to. But we can't make a cup run in October or in training camp. So what we have to do from day one on a daily basis is prepare in that work. And that has to be our focus. We're not coming in day one and say we're going to win the Stanley Cup, because we can't win it that day. But what we can do is work our asses off that day and prepare for that. So that's our focus going forward. Certainly, there's enough talent here that you think if we can get it going in the right direction, we are a team that will be considered, right? We're in that group. But look back at all of the great teams. When you just think of 2009, the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup, and they are a dominant force. We are talking about dynasty at that point. You've got Stahl, Malkin, and Crosby in their prime down the middle. And yet nothing happens for a number of years. Good team. It's very, very difficult to blast through the playoffs if you just think you play your game, right? The other team's getting paid too. So we invest every day. Every single day we invest in our future by our work ethic that day. I know I hate using this word, but it's so true. You trust in the process, right? Because it's kind of like I come out here, I believe in accountability. I like an up-tempo game. I mean, how many coaches press conference? Have you ever heard a coach come in and say, we're not going to work that hard and I like to play slow the game down, right? So I want to be careful with my words about this process, but let's just say investment. Every day, put it in the bank, hard work. And then when we get to the playoffs, and you've got to earn your right to get to the playoffs, but when you
get to the playoffs, Maurice, Paul, you have to get to the playoffs first. Otherwise, it's an investment in a piggy bank with a hole in the bottom, a big hole. But I guarantee you, hearing what he's saying, if you called him up on Christmas and said, hey, Paul, are you disappointed in the team's position? You say, well, I'd like to be a couple points closer, but the process and the work hard and the adversity and the struggle and...
you get there, you have a belief that you're good enough, that you've paid enough of a price. And that's when I think those teams turn the corner.
Just curious, do you expect they had a very wide open offense? Are you going to keep that or become more defensive? What's your thoughts on?
We'll be more defensive when we don't have the puck, right? But there are certain things, and the first answer is going to be no. That offensive part will probably be the secondary thing that I would weigh in on, because they've got a lot of skill here, and I want to see it work too from ice level, right? The style of game won't change that much offensively.
Holy hell in a handbasket. You lying son of a bitch. I have to... Where's my nitroglycerin? I'm playing that again. Oh, he didn't just say that. He didn't just say that.
But there are certain things, and the first answer is going to be no. That offensive part will probably be the secondary thing that I would weigh in on, because they've got a lot of skill here, and I want to see it work too from ice level, right? The style of game won't change that much offensively.
I'm okay. I'm all right. Okay, so here's the thing. For everybody who got hoodwinked and suckered and said this was the right coach, we got lied to. I don't know how else to put that. I mean, I may as well be standing here telling you all I'm 6'4" and used to play quarterback for the University of Miami. Because that statement has as much truth as what he just said. I knew I wasn't Cocoa Puffs. I knew he said he didn't want to change much. Let's continue.
But let's just talk about smart hockey instead of describing it as a high offensive play. If you're throwing a puck across the ice, in a tight part of the game at the wrong time, that's just not smart. But you've got skilled, smart players. They can make the decision. They can learn to make the decision. The payoff on this pass is right. I can push this now. I can do that. And they have a green light to do that. Anything odd, man, that's the players. They have to be allowed. And why?
I just watched Barkov and Reinhart, but 3 games ago, enter the zone, dump the puck in. I watched Bennett and Lustenreinen entering the zone, 2-on-1s, dumping the puck in, dumping the puck behind the net. Am I blind? Am I not seeing that? Honestly, am I not seeing that? Are we living in a simulation and what I'm seeing on TV is different from what you guys are seeing? Am I not seeing a completely different style of offensive hockey? Tell me it's just me. Somebody.
Why would you pull back a team offensively that has that kind of talent?
Why would you?
But it has to be smart. And we will spend the year kind of deciding, is this right? Is this the smart play? Is this the best play? Let's make the best play. Sometimes the best play is the one you don't make. I know you've heard that before. But I would say that truly confident offensive players, when they're at their peak, cut plays off more often than you think. They don't.
So what he's saying here is we're going to spend a year getting in these players' heads. So instead of just reacting naturally like they've been with their natural hockey instinct, we want them to be thinking on the ice about, is this the right place? Should I do this? And then let's triple down on that. Let's double and triple down on that on in their head. Am I going to lose ice time if I make this mistake? Am I going to? Because last year it was like, hey, look, go ahead and make your mistakes. We'll catch up. Don't worry about it. Now, I grasp the idea that changes in the playoffs. I do. But he has dialed it down far too much to even be remotely close to successful. We're consistently losing hockey games, only scoring 2 goals.
Make the play. It's not they go down and they get 100 opportunities, and that's why they get 60 points in 40 games. It's they make the right play. And they are willing, and they're willing actually to score a little bit less for the more team wins. Take those plays out. If you score them, God bless you. But let's not make plays that aren't smart.
David Wilson from the Miami Herald. First of all, Paul, welcome to South Florida.
Thank you.
Actually, one for Bill. Obviously, a lot of experience for Paul, and that's a contrast just with Bruno getting thrust in as a first-time head coach last year. Just how important was that in the coaching search, looking for someone who has a wealth of experience, and how do you think that can manifest and help this team?
Yeah, when I arrived, obviously Joel had a lot of experience when I got here, and not to kill this word, but it's a very accurate and applicable fit, right? And kudos to Bruno for taking charge of the ship and leading this team and getting us through the year.
Kudos.
As was the case when I got here, with Joel, with the experience with this team and this group, and then looking forward to what we see on the horizon, the challenges that we're going to face with our cap, with re-signing some of the guys and trying to get this moving forward and achieve the next level. Experience is paramount. Yeah.
Hey, Paul, welcome to.
Okay, so, but why? Why? Now, I was not against an experienced coach, but let's just pause this for a minute here. There's 11 minutes left in the video, and let's just ask ourselves, why? Why is having an experienced coach the difference? Because a team might have some struggles because of cap situations. I mean, when you consider the fact what Bruno took us through, and at that point, remember, at this point, there's no trade that's happened. Duke isn't hurt. At this point, one guy has to go. Okay? All right, at this point, somebody has to go because whether it be Hornquist, when he's speaking, one player has to go. Even after losing, so 2 because of Marchman. But, and this is a legit question. A question for you in the comments, and it's probably something I'll ponder upon and have another answer for another time. It sounds right. It sounds good. Well, we need an experienced coach to guide us through these challenges. But could there possibly be a bigger challenge than losing your coach, 8, 9 games, whatever it was, when Quenneville resigned? That wasn't enough of a challenge that you got to have an experienced guy to bring us through the challenges of losing a few players? I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
The Florida, it's Colby Guy from Florida Hockey Now here. I just wanted to ask, during those latter days in Winnipeg, you mentioned how your love for the game was kind of waning there. What kind of brought it back, and is there any concern that it'd get to that point again?
Colby.
Great question.
Great question. Yeah.
I critique my own performance. So most nights in the NHL, if you walked off the bench and the team lost a game, I'm not looking at the player's performance. What did I do that day that I missed something? Always feel like if you don't win, you miss something. Now, you're not going 82-0, but so I judge my own performance. And some of it is, at times, can be a perceived lack of efficacy at times. So you push hard, and you get this big return the first time you push that button, and every time you push that button, there's slightly less return, right? It's a little harder to drive it. And I know, even though, God, those players never quit, they worked hard right till the end. I know that I wasn't producing at a level that I expect myself to produce. I expect myself to have an impact in the room.
Okay. The pushing the buttons thing. Hear me out. Not that long ago, he just said that you need the experience of playing a certain way and having success with it, and then it builds and it builds and it builds. But here he's saying that, I push a button and you get results, but then eventually you stop getting results with that pushing that button. Well, if you were really getting results by pushing the button, the players would buy in with the repetitiveness. He's contradicting himself here, in my opinion.
And to be able to change things and push things. And I didn't feel I was having that effect. So on my own job performance, so that's where my love of the game comes. Come in and drive a group, right? Like, be a part of it. And I do. I love this game. But if you're coming to the rink now and you're not feeling that you're driving the group in a manner, you're not performing the way you need to perform, and part of this is experience. I know when they need a change. Unless you're winning Stanley Cups or driving right to that edge all the time, I think the coach's window is about 6 years, to be honest with you. Now, if you win Stanley Cups, you stay forever. If you're taking over a brand new expansion team, that you can build it. There are coaches that have done that. You can stay as long. But when you're in this window, you have to drive and you have to push. And at some point, they need a different voice. And hopefully, there'll be Stanley Cups here, and we can talk about this 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now. Who knows? And I've had 2 very long tenures where I felt, like the first time I got fired, it was 8 years, I think 9 years into my time in Carolina. And Jim Rutherford, who's, a great working relationship with me, said, Paul, we're going to make a coaching change. And I said, thank God I'm tired. I'm burnt, man. I'm burnt. I gave everything I had at the office. It was over. So I like that idea, and I kind of hold myself to that. I'm going to push as hard as I'm going to push myself, and I want to perform to a certain level. And when I don't think I'm effective as a leader, and this doesn't happen over a weekend, man. Like, I'm aware of it. I was aware of it in the summer. Am I the right guy? You have to be the right fit. So even with all those long terms, there's going to come a time when you're not the right fit anymore, and the team deserves the right voice, right? The team comes first. So that's where I got to. So you don't love it when you're not performing. You can't feel good about yourself. You can't love the game. You get grumpy. You get angry all the time, and you're just a lousy human to be around. I definitely got to that point, so it was the right thing to do in my mind.
So that's the one thing I'll give him some credit for. I know a lot of people have given him grief for quitting. Hey, like he said, he had a feeling during the summer, maybe, some questions. Maybe he should have just resigned then. But you can say what you want, you can call it quitting, but if you look at how Winnipeg's playing now, certainly he did the right thing for everybody else. It made him look a certain way, but hey, look, if you know you're not doing your job and you're a problem, I'll give him credit for stepping down versus, staying the rest of the season and making management fire him.
Bill, hi, Bill. Once that feeling of raw, on some level at least, dissipated, and you got into this process and the process of analyzing the season and moving forward and the coaching search and all those things, I imagine that was probably a bit of an education for you. What did you learn in the last month about this team that maybe you didn't, maybe wasn't obvious? Maybe, I guess, what was the biggest takeaway of these last few weeks when you look back and sort of look ahead at where you've been and where you're going?
Perfect question. Exactly what I want to hear. What were you thinking, Bill?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway for me, and I think I can speak collectively for our group as we went through the process and did our dive, was as we look to the future and we really, really want to take the next step, is are we all, as an organization, willing to collectively, as Coach just said, every single day believe in the process, right? And it starts with us, right? You have to, every single day we have to work. You can't take for granted, we're having this success, we're so good, we have to keep going, we have to keep going. And part of that is looking at the horizon, right? And we need to prepare, and we need to be ready, and we have to anticipate, where are we headed right now? I think that's the biggest takeaway for us. And so that's where
Now, what I get from that, when he's talking about looking forward, looking at the horizon, obviously he's looking past this season. I find it interesting that that was his mindset, and then he gave Spencer Knight all that money. And by all that money, I mean he gave him starter money to be the backup. He starts getting paid next year. So I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. And maybe he's going to say it later. Maybe he doesn't want to say it. But I said something during the summer. I don't even remember if it was before the trade or not. But I remember thinking that it must have been after the trade. That we need to start looking at the core as instead of switching the core from Barkov, Huberdeau, and Bob to maybe looking at Barkov, Lundell, Knight, right? Now I know, I'm not suggesting right now you give the net to Knight. That's not what I'm saying. But in what Bill is saying, looking forward, where are we headed? Obviously, eventually, at some point, Bubba is going to be too old, and it's going to be Knight's net. So, from what he's saying here, he's looking more longer term than just this season, and maybe his theory is to accept the bumps and bruises this year, but to look forward with where we're going to be cap wise and player wise in 2 and 3 and 4 years from the moment that he's talking now, or he's looking at Lundell and Knight, and you got to re-sign Forsling, right? Guys that are going to be getting paid. You have the decision to be making on Ekblad. At this point, you still had to decide how he's going to pay Huberdeau and what to do with Uyghur. So I understand what he's saying here. I can't disagree with what he's thinking, but I still don't understand why this is the guy versus Bruno. And I'm somebody that thought at that point that, a change needed to be made, but I'm not the GM. I don't know the intricacies and the insides of what's going on. I'm trying to figure out why he felt Maurice would navigate this so much better than Bruno.
really believe that Paul has you can tell the special enthusiasm, his experience in hockey, that we're going to have some challenges this year, and I think that, this is a great fit for us to move forward and take them head on.
But why? I mean, he keeps saying it's a great fit, but why is this the guy, based on his previous history? What is it that he's going to have, that he's going to do in this moment that's going to be an improvement over what Bruno could have done. At this point, we haven't lost anybody yet, other than we know we're going to lose Marchment. We've got some decisions to make. But look, if this team is completely healthy, the team that we have now, it's not like, I mean, it's not bad. The problem that we have is injuries and Ekblad, whether you want to say his play has regressed or it's injuries. I don't understand why Maurice was just because of, quote, experience. I don't get it.
Any additional questions?
Is that it?
Hey, Bill, I just wanted to touch base on this quickly since we didn't get to ask you last month. Were there any kind of severe injuries? I know Mason Marchment was dealing with something for the majority of the playoffs there, but did any of the guys need surgery or what was going on there?
I think Mason is he's back to. I think he's 100%. You know, if we were playing hockey right now, I think he'd be playing.
And we wouldn't,
And
because you didn't pay him because you didn't have any money.
No, I'm trying
which
to
is
be-
why you're hiring this dude. So I don't get it.
If there was no major surgery for sure. Then trying to think, someone might have gone to the dentist or. I think Anton had his tonsils out. I'm serious, yeah, and he did actually. But I mean, that for an adult, that's relatively serious. So yeah.
Is that it?
Paul, since the word of the day seems to be fit from everybody, why are you a fit here?
There we go.
What do you bring? What's
Hey.
your skill set that this team needs?
Good question.
That's a really good question. It's
Yes, it
almost
is.
as hard to describe as that word fit, but
Try.
I think a perspective from the outside sometimes help. Somebody who's got maybe a bit of a historical perspective of the league and has seen teams very similar to this in the situation that they're at. That fit of a like mind with Bill in terms of the daily kind of work that has to go in, the daily communication.
The fit with that kind of a like mind with Bill about the daily work and what has to go into it. What was the non-fit with Bruno and Bill? That's the other angle here, right? What was the non-fit? What was the part with Bruno taking over for Q, leading us to the President's Trophy? Yes, the playoffs ended up being ass. But what was it about Bruno that wasn't a fit that made this guy the fit?
I like to talk to players, and I like to find out what's going on. I like to be involved in not necessarily their personal lives, but in their professional lives for sure. And I think I can put a staff and direct a staff well that we can be very productive. So that you won't find the 4 or 5 of us in the back office for a long period of time. We'll be in the room, teaching, monitoring, assessing, and then preparing. I think the ideas of the next step, they have to get on paper, then they have to get on the rink. You have to be able to translate these concepts into a specific on ice plan.
It ain't translated.
And I think I can teach well. I do think that I can get in front of a room and explain ideas and have players understand them, and certainly reach out to the players who don't. So I think that's where we're at. There's a lot of good things. Slightly different structure in our defensive game. Certainly an emotional intensity in our daily work, an excitement to come to work, be a heavily caffeinated group in the morning. And as the question prior, a love of the game. I have a tremendous love of this game, and I like to talk about it. And I think one day it was 10 hours, and probably covered every game that's ever been played, but it could have gone longer, right? So at the end, I would say I've just beat that question to death. I'll tell you what, I'll bring a passion to the game because I do love it.
I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. Okay. He'll bring a passion to the game. A passion to the game. Which is exactly what this team is lacking, is passion. So whatever it is that you're selling, Paul, whatever it is that you were selling, my friend, my well-spoken friend, they ain't buying it. They ain't buying it. Now, last thing I'll say, because I kept you long enough, but in the beginning, we saw goals were being given up because the forwards were not coming back. Okay. Not coming back quick enough. There was clearly some defensive responsibilities that the forwards weren't quite getting. That has slowed down a little bit, despite whether or not Colin White was in exactly the right position last night to stop that deflection goal. First month of the season, he would have just been entering the zone because he wouldn't have even been there. So I suppose that's an improvement. But the biggest takeaway from all of this is, when did it change? When did it change that he did not want to curtail the offensive style of hockey? I'm beside myself. Because if that's what he sat in the room and told Bill Zito, hey, look, I just want to take these extra few steps. It was add this. I don't want to curtail the offense at all. Zito was like, yeah, all right, let's do this. And is it my imagination, or is it completely been curtailed? Like dumpster fire curtailed. We're losing games because we can't get a second or a third goal when we need it. This was a team that could score 5 at will. How many games did we win last year? It's 5-3. It's like, it was a game. We weren't really on, but we got our goals, right? I mean, I understand the talent level isn't as big and strong as last year, but I do not feel he's getting the best possible result from the talent level that we have. Now, I know let's wait. If we could ever stay healthy for like a month, give us like a month of a full roster. If it starts to be where we're winning 2-3 in a row, lose a game, win 3 in a row, lose a game, okay. But the main point with this video is I wanted to go back and see what was it that he said that convinced me. And you heard it right there. We do not want to curtail the offensive style of play. I said, okay, as long as you're not going to screw with that, we'll give you an opportunity. He says all the right things. But what he's saying and what he's doing are two very different things, and it just pisses me off. Now I'm even more pissed off now than I was at the beginning of the video. Damn it. Whether or not he lied, or whether or not he's just blowing smoke up our ass at that point, or did the trade change things? Did he say, well, we don't have Huberdeau to move the puck, we don't have Uyghur to move the puck, we got Kachuk, who's some grinder, and he doesn't really skate as fast? Did that change things? Did that trade change what? Did he go to Bill and say, hey, look, man, we're not going to be able to play the same style of hockey with these guys that we got now? And Bill said, hey, look, I know challenges, right? Okay, we'll never know the answer to that question. We're never going to know, was this the style he was planning on, or is this now because of the trade? And, other things have happened out of his control. He can't control the injuries. He can't control what he thinks he's stepping into Aaron Ekblad, Norris Trophy contender, and that ain't what he's got. He's got keep the handle, right? Up until 2 weeks ago, but Bubba was you may as well have had me on goal some nights. So there are some things that have happened that are out of his control. And you look at it, like I said, with Stu, and you say, hey, look, between the injuries and Bob being bad beginning of the season, does that give us 5 more games? Genuine question. Between all of the injuries, the nights we played shorthanded, and Bob's play. If that doesn't happen, do you give us 10 more points, 5 more wins? Because at that point, we're in a playoff spot. We're fine. So do we want to throw this all on the injuries? I don't know. We need to get healthy. And someone needs to... I wish I had a press pass. I wish I was credentialed. Like I said, they'd allow me in the locker room for like 20 minutes, and then they'd be like, get this son of a bitch out of here. He's asking, these questions are too hard. This is too hard hitting. This is Florida. This ain't Toronto. But I want to know, Paul, this is what you said. So what changed? Just tell us what changed. If he comes out and says, hey, look, that's what I was planning on doing, and then Zito got rid of Huberto and Uyghur, and we got this other guy and we had to change. If he says that, I can buy it. Doesn't mean I buy in that he's the answer, but I can buy the difference between what he said there and what we're seeing on the ice. Damn. I knew I remembered that. I knew it. All right. That's enough. The video's 50 minutes long, Jaws. Jeez, what are you doing? It shows me how long the video's been. All right. I'm going to get this edited and uploaded. I'm going to put like 40 freaking ads in it. So like every 30 seconds there's going to be an ad. I got to pay my mortgage. All right. Live stream starts at 8 o'clock tonight. Go Jags. Beat them stupid, stinking Jets. And then we'll be back tomorrow with the Panthers and football just all weekend long. Just strap me in. It's going to be a 48-hour straight stream. I don't know, man. All right. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys again later tonight.